And for more on developments in West Asia, we are joined by Ambassador Ashok Sajanhar, former senior diplomat. He'll analyze this day 5 for us. Ambassador Sajanhar, how effective, have U.S. and Israeli strikes been in degrading Iran's military infrastructure and also Iran's retaliatory capacity? What does it reveal about its position and resilience? Sir, we can't hear you. Perhaps you're on mute. Yeah.
Not really.
Oh, go ahead. I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank you very much for having me on the show. As far as the degradation of the Iranian capacity and capability, I think they have been severely degraded, but maybe not to the extent that Israel and the United States might have expected. And in that context, while as far as the air defense systems and command and control over the airspace in Iran continues to be very limited or non-existent, but it still has the possibility of using its large stockpiles of missiles and unlimited stocks of drones, the Shahed 126 drones,
Yes.
that it has been using to very good effect, and it has been using them against Israel, it has been using them against the countries in West Asia, and then on top of all that, it has decided to block off the Strait of Hormuz, which has created unimaginable problems and issues
Yes.
for countries of West Asia and, of course, of many other countries importing and consumers of energy from this region.
Ambassador Sajanhar, also, there are reports that there could be potential radioactive leaks from Isfahan or, even any other site. How will this impact the lives of civilians, and what impact will it have on the war itself?
Yeah, so two questions here. One is, as far as the lives of civilians is concerned, that has been hugely affected, adversely affected, meaning even without, if you're not even considering the, the nuclear fallout, if there are any attacks on Isfahan, Natanz, Fordo, etc. If we don't take, cognizance of that, but still, meaning the sort of bombing that has been taking place, and not only in Tehran, not only in Qom, Tabriz, Isfahan, etc., but all the major cities. More than 100 major cities of Iran have been pummeled by huge barrage of missiles and bombs from the United States and Israel. So as far as the ordinary life of people in Iran is concerned, that has been very severely and very adversely affected. As far as the nuclear radiation from Isfahan and the other nuclear enrichment sites that were thought
Right.
that is concerned, IAEA has come up, the International Atomic Energy Agency has come up with a report saying that there is no evidence of any nuclear radiation, that there has been any emission of that. So I think that is, a saving grace. That is satisfying that nothing of that sort has happened. And countries should really take care that that eventuality does not
Does
arise.
not take place at all, indeed. But, what impact will Mujtaba Khamenei being appointed or potentially being appointed as the new supreme leader have on the whole strategy that Iran has?
Yeah, meaning if America and Israel had thought that by decapitating the top leadership, because in one fell swoop, they were able to take care of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and also a large number of the senior officers, senior functionaries, senior commanders and generals, whether it is of the IRGC, it is of the intelligence or the defense minister, etc. If they had thought that that is going to have an impact so that the whole structure, the government structure is going to come tumbling down, that has not happened. So I think that must have been a source of disappointment as far as America and Israel are concerned. And if they had thought that, possibly they would be able to get in a more moderate person in the place of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, then that also has not happened because the reports seem to indicate that Mujtaba Khamenei, who is still considerably young at 56, he is more of an extreme and more radicalized than even his father was.
Okay.
And he has been able to come to this position because, mind you, he is not in the top echelons of the clerical
Yes.
supremacy as far as Iran is concerned. You know, he is at number two or number three, what is known as Hujatul Islam. He is not Ayatollah. So, you know, there was that opposition to him
I
being
see.
nominated for the
Okay.
top position. But it is the IRGC and the army, which means he has a huge control and he has a huge support as far as the IRGC is concerned. So it does not portend well
Sure.
for those who are striking against the regime in Iran.
So, what are the implications of Iranian drone and missile attacks on Gulf states?
They have been very lethal, as you can see. They have been very lethal. You know, it's not only the US military assets that they have been hitting out at, but they have been hitting out at commercial centers, at residential places, at airports, at commercial complexes, and big buildings. So I think the normal life, the general life of the people there has been disturbed, has and I think it has come as a big surprise to these people because they had thought that this eventuality will never arise, that Iran will start firing. They could understand Iran had announced that if it is attacked by US and Israel, then it is definitely going to go after the US military assets in the region. And there are considerable US military assets there, whether it is in Qatar or it is in Kuwait or it is in Bahrain or the United Arab Emirates or the Saudi Arabia. But in addition to that, what Iran has been doing is that it has been going after all these commercial places and even the private residential complexes, even the refinery, Ras Tanura refinery in Saudi Arabia, and also
Right.
hitting out at the pipelines. Now that has created a lot of problem, and all these countries are very perturbed, and that has created a big fissure between Iran and these Gulf countries. What Iran
Sure.
might have thought is that if it attacks these countries, then they will be helpful in pressurizing Israel and the United States at stopping the conflict and stopping the barrage of missiles and bombs that are being thrown at them. But I think it has come out to be a strategic blunder on their part because this has, you know, the relations between Iran and many of these countries like
True.
Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, that had been improving over the last several months. But
True.
now we see that they have seen a huge decline in and a sense of distrust and
True.
the friendly
If,
relations.
if we look at the bigger picture, Ambassador Sajanhar, I mean, there is the EU, Russia, and China. How are they positioning themselves in response? I mean, after all, they are seen as global powers that can be involved in some sort of, in calming the waters in a sense.
Yeah, as far as China and Russia are concerned, both of them have been very critical of the American position, of the American stance, and the action that has been taken by America and Israel. And today there was a telephonic conversation between the foreign minister of China and the foreign minister of Iran. And basically, what China had said is because it receives the huge quantities of its energy, of its oil from West Asian countries. And as I mentioned right at the beginning, the Strait of Hormuz has been closed, through which about 20% of global energy outflows take place. And Iran, over the last 47 years, although there have been a number of conflicts in this period, but it never took the decision to choke off, to block the Strait of Hormuz.
All right.
But this time it has done so. I think one can really make out what is the seriousness of this issue as far as Iran is concerned. It considers this to be an existential threat. So, after the telephonic conversation between Wang Yi and Foreign Minister Arakchi, so they have agreed that the Chinese tankers will be allowed to go through the Strait of Hormuz, and no other shipping will be allowed.
Okay.
Although President Trump
President Trump
has
says that the U.S. Navy will be, escorting ships in the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, but that appears very unlikely because, they will be hit by these missiles, and how will they be able to control the missiles? So, it might be, as a political statement, it might be all right. But I think the impact on the ground is not going to be, it's not going to be very realistic to be able to
Okay.
provide defense to them. So you have more than 150 tankers and ships which are lying in the Persian Gulf, just waiting there. They don't want to take any chance. And in fact, the international insurance, marine insurance companies have also stopped providing this. As far
Right.
as very quickly, Russia, I think it has just criticized the US action and also in the UN Security Council. As far as
The
European
EU, yeah,
Union
we
is
know
concerned,
that Spain has not let the U.S. Use its
yes,
space
I
left,
think
right?
that is the only outlier there, but otherwise,
Okay.
the three major countries, because even the base of the United Kingdom in Cyprus,
Right.
that was also hit, that was
True.
also shot by Iran. So, whether it is the United Kingdom or France or Germany, and Chancellor Merz has been in the United States and met Mr. Trump just now. So, all three of them have agreed, and even NATO has agreed to come in because the Turkey has been hit by Iran, and Turkey being a NATO member, so
Right.
the provisions will also come into
We'll
action.
leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much, Ambassador Ashok Sajanar. Thank you for
Thank
giving
you.
us a broader view of what's happening in West Asia.